We've all heard of the American dream, right? I'm Canadian and I know it, but how do you get it? Conventional wisdom says that you're an actor, lawyer, athlete, or doctor, right? If you want that amazing lifestyle, these are the professions. And that's why we send our smart children to tutoring and our athletic kids do hockey practice at 6 o'clock in the morning before they get shuttled off to school. We believe that success in one of these careers is going to lead to lavish parties, amazing relationships where you're going to get to network and keep working on your financial freedom, and your life is going to be, well, enviable. And during your free time, well, you're probably either going to be golfing or skiing or getting massages and working out with your personal trainer. An amazing lifestyle. Are you a doctor, a celebrity, or an athlete? Well, if you're not, does that mean that you can't have the American dream? And well, no, it doesn't mean that, because there's a second way to get to that American dream. It's work really hard and just use brute force and tenacity to push and push and push and push until you achieve. Are you starting to see that there's a problem here? First, somehow, the American dream has been changed from anyone has the ability to achieve their version of success to this narrow idea of success equals money and fame and status and a life of leisure. Secondly, because this is our definition of success, we're not focused on what actually makes us each happy as individuals. Have you ever noticed that when we meet new people, we have a tendency to ask them what they do for a living? Why is that? We want to know how they contribute to society, and also because it's where they spend the majority of their time, of their day. This is the activity they're engaged in. But what happens if I hate my job? What happens if the thing that I'm doing doesn't provide anything positive for society? In both of those situations, I'm not going to be satisfied with my life, even if I'm making a large amount of money doing what I'm doing. We struggle to understand how is it that people that have what we want, fame, status, and money, report being depressed and unhappy and give up on their lives. And it's because the true American dream is about achieving success as defined by the individual. So you have a child and you're holding that child in your hands and you're looking at them and you want that child to have things that you didn't have. If you struggled with money, you want them to have that. If you struggled with recognition and status, you want them to have that. If you struggled in relationships, that's what you're hoping for them. As a society, we have a tendency to focus on avoiding problems and seeking pleasure. Take a moment and look around at all the tech that we have that's solely about ourselves as adults and our children seeking pleasure. The number one thing we do on our computers, the number one thing we do on our phones, we're constantly seeking pleasure or using these things as diversions to avoid pain. We don't need to leave our houses to watch a movie anymore or to do a FaceTime with somebody. We don't even need to have another person in our house to be sexually entertained by another person. But the question is any of this healthy for us? We are social beings. And in today's world, we figured out ways to have social interaction without there being a person in the room with us. I'm asking you to consider that possibly that's a problem. In today's world, a child from an average household is being bombarded with images of wealth beyond their imagination, but they're being marketed to as if this is easily accessible. Just work hard, you can get this. That child is being presented with images of how their body should look, all without any realistic explanation of how did that person achieve that goal, right? They're not being told that that person works out like it's their job and either eats a very curated diet or barely at all. These unrealistic ideas about wealth and body type and body shape are detached from the presenter's actual realistic happiness level. Like, does the typical influencer press record when they're not doing well, when they're falling apart? Most don't. Do we share that we hated what we needed to eat in order to achieve this body, or how much working out we had to do to achieve this? Do we share that it was grueling and that I wouldn't do it again? Most don't. The average viewer, you, me, our kids, they're feeling like losers when they look at these images, these social media depictions of what life is supposed to look like, because they don't have it. And this is what they're being told is the sign of being a successful person today. And what they do is they grind harder, trying to make it happen. And what happens? What happens when we fail? Our mood takes a hit, and then we turn around and we self-soothe. We self-soothe with video games, gambling, drinking, sex, and food. The stuff that we actually have access to. But the problem is that self-soothing behavior gets us into trouble. Obviously, self-soothing with sex can lead to unwanted pregnancies. It can lead to cheating on your spouse. It could lead to all kinds of relationship issues because you're not engaging honestly with the other person, right? You're trying to make yourself feel better at their expense. When we self-soothe with food and drinking, we're damaging our health. And we don't think about that because in the moment it feels good. Self-soothing with any of these things can also have a huge negative impact on your work. Because whether it's keeping me up late at night, causing me stress, causing me arguments with my spouse, which cause me stress at work, it's interfering with your ability to then go and do the job you're trying to do well. We live in a world with a lot of options for empty pleasure and the illusion of escaping the dissatisfaction that we have with our lives. I had to be faced with the possibility of a hip surgery to take a close look at my weight issue, at the foods that I was eating, and the joint pain that I had dealt with for years. The extra weight wasn't enough to push me to tackle that problem, right? The tasty foods were too tasty. It is unfortunate that for most of us, we need to be in the position of our health failing before we will address a real problem that's in front of us. We don't take the time to stop and evaluate the goals that we're working towards. Are they truly going to help me accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish, my life being happier? And I do believe that this comes back to the American dream. Happiness isn't about having what you see on social media. And it's foolish for me to believe that my grade 11 teenager is in a position today to choose the career that she's going to have forever, when in fact, she hasn't been out in life and worked enough to even know what kind of job she'd like, because she's never worked more than part-time in a fun job that she didn't need to support herself with. When we're in real world situations, we get feedback. Different work experiences give us different feedback. Some of them are going to lead to us feeling satisfied and happy with what we've done, and other jobs are going to leave us feeling like it was lacking and it's not interesting to us. We need these experiences to understand what work environment is really going to work for us long term. In the American dream, where does happiness come into the equation? How does it contribute to success? We have it backwards. We're saying, get this, you'll be happy, without knowing that the person even wants this. I want you to consider that happiness, enjoyment, satisfaction with the actions that you take on a regular basis, on a daily basis, at work or at home, it's a huge part in your evaluation of your life as successful or not. I want to challenge this idea that money is the most important factor to measure. I want you to think about the fact that your physical and mental health are much more important than how much money you're making. What I've learned in the last 4 years is that all the hard work that I put in to working for myself, fighting to get my weight under control, and by the way, not losing the weight that I was trying to lose, proving to the world that I was a good mother by owning a home on my own, and on top of that, renting an office to work out of, taking my daughter on vacations, buying myself every fancy gadget that it comes out, and buying one for my daughter, having the fancy car, and none of it made me anywhere as happy as when I went riding with my daughter on our bicycles, or longboarding with my daughter, or my daughter and I learning to ollie together on skateboards. None of those things cost a lot of money. Being healthy and being able to use my body to do fun things that I consider fun, trumps everything else. The money isn't the most important thing. I had to almost lose my ability to walk to figure this out. And I'm trying to save you guys the pain. If the solutions that you're putting in place do not actually change the original problem that you're trying to solve, it's not a real solution. Find someone to talk to so you can work on the real problem if you're not able to figure it out by yourself. And then make a plan, and then change the original problem. Make it something else, and that way you'll be able to know if that solution worked. I suggest starting by eating a healthy diet that eliminates cravings. I made a video about it that you can check out here. I'll meet you over there.